Hello everyone. Today I want to share with you from a social web a script that will allow you from a list of keywords generate titles and contents for posts in a 100% automatic way, and once generated it will allow you to upload them to your WordPress automatically. That is to say, by simply providing a list of keywords and clicking play, you will be able to fill in and publish your blog with automatic content generated 100% by AI. If you find it interesting, I will explain now step by step how it all works, whether you are a veteran or if you have never tried any programming language. I will detail the process and you will be able to use it until you know how to use it and even modify it and adapt it to your needs. For this we are going to use Google Colab and Python. Google Colab, you can imagine it as a Google Docs or a Google Sheet, but for programming languages it will allow you to program and execute code in the cloud, share it easily, and in this case with the link that you will find in the video description you can access to a copy of it. Of this same Colab, I recommend you almost always to do this. Google itself is going to recommend it, but that you make a copy. For this you can make a copy in Drive, a copy in GitHub. If you use this account, this type of service is more used by programmers. With Drive it is enough. And you are going to use Python. Python, for those of you who have not heard it, is a programming language. It is one of the most used nowadays, very widespread for this type of tasks. And if you have never done anything like this, do not worry. It is a very simple language, very permissive and very semantic. That is to say, if you understand English, just read the instructions. Basically, you are going to find out what it does. The instructions are executed in Colab by blocks. As you can see, this is a block. Here below is another block. Each block has at the top left a play button. With this you execute the whole cell, and you can see here, for example, that I have already executed it. And it has been executed correctly. It marks with a green tick. If it was executed incorrectly, it would mark with a red X and would indicate the error and the line in which the error occurred. Don't worry, this code is very simple. If you fill in all the data and click play, there should be no problem. For those of you who already know how to program or have already run Colab, I will quickly explain what you need to do to run it, so as not to waste your time and to make you understand what you need to do. Then we are going to go step by step and in detail, seeing how to execute everything, to even modify it for those who have never worked with this or want to stay with it. Do a more complete explanation. So above, and roughly speaking, what we are going to do is to use a CSV document. In this case I have it here in Sheets. The name has to be CSV articles, because within the code itself we are looking for it. If you modify the title in one of the points and it does not match, it will give you an error. So make sure it is correct. This is one of the important things in programming. Always make sure before you think that the code is wrong that all the things have their correct name. Many times we are wrong. And here I put article by example, and then it is called articles, and we bang our heads on the table until we realize that it was a typographical error and nothing more. And then you will need a document CSV articles with a header, a single column, and a heading called title. This you can also see in the code. And further down here on line 27 of the second row we are looking for the title column, so also make sure this is the right field. And below the title you can include all your keywords. Here you can include as many as you want. There is no limit, only the time you can keep the computer running and the budget you have in OpenAI, because at the end of the day you can have the computer running and the budget you have in OpenAI, because at the end of the day you can have as many as you want. There is no limit. When creating with a limited number of credits that you will be given for free, but after that number you will have to pay. It is a very affordable price, very affordable. It is not comparable to the price of a human editor, but well, don't put here a whole HRF report because you will probably melt all the credits. These are the examples of keywords. In this case we have 4. SEO, online marketing, local SEO, lean building, and are the basis on which we will generate content. And that is to say, SEO will generate one content, online marketing will generate another, local SEO will generate another. Once you fill in all your data here, what it will do is to go through all the keywords. It will use 2 prompts. It's going to chain them together. First we are going to generate a prompt with which we will generate the title, and another prompt with which we will generate the content. And once these contents have been generated, it will simply upload them to our WordPress using XMLRCP, or RPC, excuse me. And that is the complete code. It is a very useful base to generate content that you can use and extend as you wish. So if you already know your way around, if you have worked with Python, just go in, open the document, include your data, and there should be no problem. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments, contact us, or give us your ideas. And now for the beginners, we are going to go step by step to see how each thing works. So the points are the same. You need the document articles CSV with your keywords. And you need to execute each cell step by step. Here at the top left, you press play, and as you can see, this little green arrow will be marking you. The code is always executed from top to bottom, from left to right. Here you can see that it ran very fast, but a little green arrow will mark where you are standing, where the code is currently located, and below the cell it will show you the result. Here I have already installed everything. As you can see, it has a little green arrow. It marks a little green arrow. It marks the time of execution. And everything is correct. So we would move on to the next cell. Here we are going to do several things. We are going to upload our Colab. That is to say, we are going to upload our file to Colab. In this case, this is the file that we are going to upload. Remember that it has to be called articles CSV. We are going to import Python tools we need to make this code work. First of all, remember that everything here is well explained. Everything you see in green and preceded by a hash mark is a comment. These comments are not read by the compiler, are not read by the programming language, and are not executed. They are by and for users only. Here, Alvaro has explained everything very well. Step by step you have the explanation of what each line does, so if at any time you get lost, take a second to read this and it will probably explain the process to you. You will read the file articles, CSV, you are going to pass it to a data frame, which is basically one of the ways we can use to read files in Python. Using the pandas library, you can see it here. It is the standard, so if you start working with this, you will see it quite a few times. And then you have to read your OpenAI key. The OpenAI key is something private. You can generate it from your account. Do not share it, because with it you have access to the credit consumption, and with it you access your paid credits. But if someone acquires it, they could use your credits without permission, so always keep it private. Then you need the credentials of the user with which you want to publish in WordPress. In this case, the username and password, which you will have to replace here, and the domain. If you have a different WP login because you have modified it for security, be sure to modify it as well, and no further changes should be necessary. And here we come to the code that we explained earlier. We are going to iterate, that is, for each title or for each keyword in our CSV article document. Vamos a generate a catchy title for an article with the following string. And here what we're going to do is we're going to take this title, the keyword, and paste it in. For example, let's take SEO and put it here. You can always modify this, that is, you can generate a catchy title, a clickbait title. This is a prompt, then you can play with them. It is always within the limit of your imagination. No programming is required here. We simply play with what we ask the artificial intelligence to do and try to achieve the best result. Well, we are going to generate that title. We'll generate it, and once we have that title, we will take the answer that OpenAI gives us, we will format it a little, and we will save it. And with that title already generated, what we're going to do is a second prompt. And we are going to ask you to generate a complete article of a minimum of 700 words and a maximum of 1500 words with the title we have generated. And a number of features. Here you can see that it solves the main doubts that users have on Google and answers their frequently asked questions. This, as in the previous point, you can always modify it. You can always adapt it to your use case. For example, you can reduce the maximum number of keywords. You can reduce the minimum number. You can ask that instead of answering the questions of Google users, you can ask him to make an impact on the user, to have a sales character in the article. That is, you can adapt it to what interests you and to your cases. Even here you can play and to try to make things different. For example, adding that this number is variable, that this number is variable, or that even in the different inputs I use several of a list. This is already more advanced. I leave here the idea. Once the prompt is executed, it will save it, it will format commands, it will remove quotation marks, for example. This can always be made cleaner. Here you have the base. You can always use the Python's replace command to eliminate things. Strange. If you see that of many asterisks, which should not be the case, but well, it is a generative guide, we never know what it can generate. Then you can come to the code and, instead of replacing the double quotation marks, you copy the line and add an asterisk, and it replaces what you add here with nothing. This you can play a lot and optimize it to the maximum at all times. Then once you have that generated, here you have to add the username and password. This is a different username and password. The username of your WordPress. If you have to go to the profile section, you go to your WordPress. For example, in this case, I am in the agency. We go to all users, select a user. In this case, it is the user Articulosia, and we have to go down until we reach the application passwords field. In this field, we have to name our application. For example, let's call articles here, and we give to the field add a new application password. We wait for it to be generated, and it will generate this password. This is the password that we are going to have to add here. And this is what's going to allow WordPress, once we modify the code here, once we modify it here in our domain correctly, automatically publish the generated contents. This password is obviously going to be disabled once I'm done with the video, so well, if you want to try using it, but it shouldn't work. Then with this data, we would already have everything complete so that the contents of our blog are generated and uploaded automatically. If you look here in the code, what we are going to send to our WordPress is the title that we have generated, the content that we have generated, and here the status. Here it is published by default. You can change it to draft if you don't want them to be generated directly published and you want to make a manual revision. I recommend you to leave it in draft, at least until you debug the system and see that everything works correctly. And the rest of the code, basically what it does is make the request to be sent to WordPress and then checks. So here is the complete code. It really works. It is very simple, and you have everything very well explained and commented. So if you have any questions, you can leave it in the comments, you can contact us. We are at social networks. Thank you very much for your time. Best regards.